everyone, welcome back to Word Vomit, and I'm your resident nerd Kriti, and today we'll be talking about a topic that's super duper close to my heart. In the past, over the course of several years, I have been accused of having unrealistic ideals in my own relationship. And you know why is that? Because obviously, I base my ideal partner and his traits on my book crushes. Anyway, so today we'll be talking about book boyfriends that I would 10 on 10 not recommend. Okay, let's get started with the list. Number 1, he takes home the prize with flying colors or whatever, is obviously Christian Grey from 50 Shades of Grey. He's controlling, he's toxic, he's manipulative, like he literally puts the shady in shades. Did that work? I have no idea. So yeah, I don't even want to go into the writing of the book that much, because according to me it's a really badly written Twilight fanfiction which should have stayed on Wattpad or whatever the digital platform it was first published on, and never had been made into a movie, book and then a film. Yeah. So Anastasia obviously is a 21-year-old protagonist who is in love with 28-year-old supremely wealthy Christian Grey. Anastasia obviously has a hero complex, and she's desperately trying to save Christian from himself, while instead she should be focusing on saving herself from this beast of a human being. So the whole book is about this weird power play, this very, very, very toxic dynamic between Anastasia and Christian, and it's not a relationship at all. And as we progress through the series, they end up getting married, and Christian is super against them having a child, which by the way they did not speak about before getting married, and they were I think 2 months into the relationship when they decide to put a ring on it. So yeah, that happened, and Christian said that I'm not ready to share you, Anastasia. Reeks of problem, girl, run. Yeah, the book progresses and it just gets weirder and weirder. It's shady, it's dangerous. Girls, Christian Grey is not your ideal soulmate. Here I would like to quote something that I read from The Guardian. Okay, so yeah, they said battered women's shelters and graveyards are full of women who had the misfortune to meet a Christian Grey. And I know it's supposed to be a fun and light-hearted video, but I think this makes a lot of sense, because we idolize these men who have a weird, power over women because of the money they have, because of the way they look, or because of the way they treat you. I don't know if it's patriarchy or even something even more fucked up. But yeah, basically this makes a lot of sense, because we idolize men like this. We end up either not looking at the nice guys or ruining things for ourselves so much that we think that we are undeserving of love, which just sucks. So girls, basically the moral of the story is, so obviously my camera died and kept on blabbering. Anyway, so the moral of the story is, if you see somebody like Christian Grey, run in the other direction, run in the opposite direction, and never ever ever look back, and you deserve love, just not that kind. So the number two on the list is, you guessed it, Edward Cullen. And I think let's not even talk about the way he wants to read Bella's mind, or the way he watches her while she sleeps. Ugh. But yeah, let's talk about the first point, which is he absolutely hates himself. He hates his vampirism or whatever it is. He also has some kind of Dexter complex, where he used to just feed on bad guys to make himself feel better about being a vampire and craving human blood. But yeah, it doesn't change the fact that he just absolutely despises his own existence. And let's face it, if somebody cannot love themselves or accept themselves, then they should not be allowed to love anybody else. And that is my major reason why Edward Cullen is a horrible boyfriend. But there are other reasons as well, and I have noted them down because I have the memory of a goldfish, so please forgive me while I refer to my notes. So yeah, he withholds information from Bella all the time, and it's not like a one-off thing. He would know something and he would just be like, I'm not gonna tell her because it's for her own good. Why? Who are you to decide what's good or bad for Bella? The third thing is age difference, and To be honest, I'm not that big on age difference, but the age difference here is big. He's over 100 years old, while Bella, when she actually meets him, is still a teenager, which is problematic again because he's technically an adult. He's beyond a senior citizen. I don't even know what do you call people who live over 100 years. Oh, he's not a person, he's a vampire. But anyway, so yeah, there are a lot of problems. Age difference is the biggest thing because Bella is still a teenager, so that is assault and pedophilia. Why is it being romanticized? He obviously washed Bella as she slept. Girls, that is not romantic. That is so creepy. I cannot harp on this enough. When I was young, I watched Twilight and I was like, oh my god, right in the fields. But no, this should not be hitting you right in the fields. This should be hitting you in your head and saying, hello dude, that's wrong. He's also a low-key stalker. He goes wherever Bella goes. He saves herself. He saves her. He saves her from a disaster that is granted, but still, who gave you permission to follow me? All the fucking time. He hates Jacob Black and he just wants to control who gets to stay and who gets to leave from Bella's life. And red flag alert. He's super duper clingy. He wants to do everything all the time with Bella. He cannot live on his own. He doesn't have a life of his own. And even though he's been coexisting with human beings for such a long time, Edward has been alive for over 100 years. That means he's been around human beings for such a long time that the least that he could do is to act involved or care a little bit about his human compadres and just be friendly. Is that too much to ask? Well, here are the couple of reasons that I think Edward would these were the couple of reasons that I think Edward would make for a really, really, really bad boyfriend. Moving on to number 3 is, you've guessed it if you have, it's Severus Snape from Harry Potter. He was not actually Lily's boyfriend, but he had this pseudo boyfriend energy which was really, really toxic, which made me want to throw up. He was always around. He was overly protective and possessive of Lily, even though Lily literally had nothing to do with him, apart from the fact that they were kids while they were growing up. Well, as you move on and as you grow and as you mature and become into an adult, you tend to grow out of some relationships, and that's what happened with Lily and Severus. But Severus Snape wasn't having it. He always thought that Lily was his one true love. He forbade himself from finding love after Lily passed away. Forget about that. He didn't even try even when she got together with James Potter. But yeah, he tried to control her. He hated James for the sole reason that, not the sole reason, but he hated James. He hated he could have had a nice friendly relationship with Lily and James, but he just couldn't get over Lily. And I know it's easier said than done, but still, he was overly manipulative. He's controlling. He was a little bit toxic, and he was even if Lily and Severus would have worked out, he would have been so possessive that he wouldn't let her do anything. And these are the couple of reasons that I would think that Severus Snape would not make for a great boyfriend. The number 4 is the protagonist himself, Harry Potter. Remember Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix when he just started dating Cho? Cho was a wonderful girl, and he was, and actually she was as well, suffering from a great loss. Cho had been dating Cedric in the past, and Cedric died in the 4th installment of Harry Potter, and Cho was still recovering. She was grieving. She was not in the best state when Harry actually started to date her. And considering the fact that Harry was there when all of that happened, when Cedric died, you would expect him to be a little more empathetic, but no, it didn't happen. He was never there for Cho when she was grieving, and he never even mentioned Cedric too much. He wasn't fine with the fact that she's not over her, but Cho was still obviously not over Cedric's loss. And considering the fact that Harry was there when it all happened, you'd expect him to be a little more empathetic towards her, but he wasn't. He didn't give Cho enough space to grieve and recover. He just sort of jumped at the opportunity, and Then he moved on to Ginny when Cho didn't respond the way he had expected her to. So yeah, these are a couple of things which would, in my eyes, make Harry a bad boyfriend to have. Let's move on to the number 5th and the last person on this list, who's not going to be as popular as the rest but is still worth a mention, is Atlas from the Thousandth Floor by Catherine McGee. So basically this book has a lot of central characters, but one of the protagonists is Avery, and Avery is the girl who lives on the 1,000 floors. She's the most prosperous, and she's born out of this genetic mutation that makes her like stunning, and she's tried dating around but she's never found her equal, her match. So she ends up finding him in her own adopted brother. The worst part about this is Avery literally pines for Atlas throughout the book. All of her relationships are unsuccessful in a way because she knows that she doesn't want to date them. She's wasting their time. And the people, I feel really bad for people who have dated Atlas or Avery in the past because they could never figure out what's wrong with them. They always thought that it was something that they did, like Leda and Watts, and they could never figure out why these guys are a little bit aloof and why are they doing what are they doing. But the simple reason is because they were in love with each other. And it's incest Maximus. Even though he's her adopted brother, I don't think so that makes much of a difference. Like, I'm all for the shebang of love finds you in the most unusual of places, but that unusual and weird place should not be your own home. That's problematic. To emphasize my point further, I'm gonna quote something from the book itself. "I'm so happy Mom and Dad are gone," Avery murmured. Her parents were at a wedding in Hawaii this weekend, not returning till Sunday. Me too. Atlas lay stretched out behind her on the couch, one arm curled beneath her. Avery still had on her school uniform, but Atlas wasn't wearing a shirt. And it was distracting her. "Mainly I'm just happy being with you, Aves," he said, and kissed her lightly at the base of her neck. Avery shivered. She loved when he touched her like that. She loved when he touched her anyway at all, really. Even if it was just brushing her foot under the table, the way he'd done at dinner all week. She knew what Atlas meant. She hadn't even known it was possible to be this happy. It was as if her entire life she'd lived in a world with limits, and then suddenly she'd discovered the way into a vaster, better, brighter world. Absolutely no, what is this Freudian shit going on in this book? So yeah, obviously Atlas should be my number 1 choice, but because he's not that popular, I just decided to keep him on number 5. Yeah, Atlas would make the worst boyfriend at all because he's your adopted brother. Yeah, anyway, that concludes my list of book boyfriends that I would 10 on 10 not recommend over my dead body. I hope you guys like this, and if you do the shebang, and I will see you in my next one. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. Bye guys.